All right, there, guys. It looks like we are live. Hey, AB, bah, ha, ha. Yeah, that's the best response to the silly insanity that we're dealing with, particularly with Biden. We are live. Come on in, one and all. Great to have you. Let me know the sound is okay, that you're hearing well here. We do have some really awesome developments going on. Ron DeSantis has officially broken CNN. Our mainstream Marxist media is finally admitting that DeSantis was right and Cuomo was wrong in terms of the crazy lockdowns. Thanks, Smiling Snow Squirrel. Appreciate that. Very good. And we have a major party leader in Russia calling Joe Biden demented. He went there. I mean, as I understand, he's the first. Maybe you guys know better. He's has anyone seen Biden in front of a green screen lately? There you go. Zacchaeus, that's awesome. Yeah, we have a one of the leaders of the Russian United Russia Party coming out and just saying, Biden, when he insulted Putin, was just simply, letting his dementia get the best of him. So we actually have a world leader going there. He is calling out Biden's obvious dementia. So we've got a lot to talk about this afternoon. Before we get started, gang, tonight's the 9. I want to invite you to our exclusive Q&A live tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time. It is March 18th. We're going to have the one and only Sebastian Gorka with us. He'll be live with us online via Zoom. So you can ask him your questions. Now, we hold these live Q&As every Monday night and Thursday night with some of the most exciting leaders in the new conservative movement going on all over the world. And they are exclusive for our Insiders Club members. And if you're not a member of my Insiders Club, no problem. All you need to do is just click on that link down below. You can sign up, and as a special incentive, you're going to get your first week absolutely free, right? You get your first week absolutely free, no obligation. Our Insiders Club is your backstage pass to having direct access to some of the movers and shakers of the Patriot movement going on all over the world. So make sure to click on that link below, become an Insiders Club member. Your first week absolutely free, and I will see you tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern time for our live Q&A with Sebastian Gorka. It's going to be absolutely great. You're going to love it. All right, let's dive right in here. We've got some amazing stuff going on. Today's not a good day for the Biden administration. I mean, no day is a good day for the Biden administration, but I mean particularly today. You've got a major propaganda mouthpiece for the Democratic Party, CNN, admitting that one of the most popular, if not the single most popular Republican governor in the nation right now was right all along with regard to the lockdowns. And you have a Russian official openly mocking Biden's dementia. I mean, it doesn't get better than this. So let's take a look at each one of these in turn. So first and foremost, CNN. CNN has finally admitted, it took forever, I know, but CNN has finally admitted that Florida Governor Ron DeSantis' decision to keep Florida open throughout this whole pandemic was indeed the right call. Listen to this from CNN. You're not going to believe it. I'll read a couple of portions for you here. Oh, where did it go? All right. After a year of criticism by health experts, mockery from comedians, and blistering critiques from political rivals, stop. CNN could have just started off with, after a year of criticism, mockery, and critiques from us at CNN, because that's what the media, the mainstream Marxist media, has become. They are left-wing activists disguised as journalists. They are not reporters. They are hecklers, right? That's what they have become. But I digress. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is standing unabashedly tall among the nation's governors on the front lines of the coronavirus fight. As many parts of the country embark on an uneasy march towards normalcy, Florida's not only back in business, it's been in business for the better part of the past year. This is CNN, gang. This is CNN talking. I go on. DeSantis's gamble to take a laissez-faire approach. He didn't, but we'll get into that in a moment. DeSantis's gamble to take a laissez-faire approach appears to be paying off. This, you've got to understand how hard it is for CNN even just to write that. It appears it has some semblance of paying off, at least politically, at least for now, as other governors capturing attention and the opening phase of the pandemic now face steeper challenges. Quote, those lockdowns have not worked. They've done great damage to our country, DeSantis said Tuesday at a news conference in Tallahassee. We can never let something like this happen again. Florida took a different path. We've had more success as a result, close quote. DeSantis, who is 42 years old, I did not know that. I thought he was a bit older. DeSantis, who's 42, is the nation's youngest governor, is standing out among his peers and seizing upon what he and his supporters believe is a vindication for their policies. And here is how the Washington Examiner interpreted these comments from CNN. This did not go unnoticed, this admission by CNN. This is the Washington Examiner. If you blinked while watching CNN this morning, you might have missed it. But the cable news outlet has finally come around to admitting what so many of us have known for months. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, a Republican, was right. CNN's Jeff Zeleny went to Florida, no doubt on a mission to see just how badly DeSantis was screwing up. He was left with no choice but to report a segment Wednesday with the truth. Florida, all things considered, is a model state for how we should have handled the coronavirus pandemic from the start. And he added that DeSantis' governing was getting a second look. This is commenting on CNN's article. DeSantis' governing was getting a second look, and that his standing is stronger than other governors across the country, even noting that his state's virus-related death rate is much better than Democratic Governor Andrew Cuomo's New York, and that his state's economy is significantly better off than heavily locked down California. Despite the fact that Florida remained mostly open, California's coronavirus death rate is only 6% lower. And we have to keep in mind that Florida's median age is significantly higher than that of California. Meanwhile, California's unemployment rate, which is 9%, is almost twice as high as Florida's at 4.8%. So right now, as we speak, the two states with the leading per capita deaths in the nation today, I'm sure you know them, it's New Jersey and it's New York, both of whom have implemented draconian lockdown measures. Florida is 27th in deaths per capita. It's in the bottom half of deaths per capita in the nation, even though its median age is significantly higher than most states. And I do appreciate the Washington Examiner mentioning that DeSantis did not take a laissez-faire approach, as CNN claimed he did. He did not take a laissez-faire approach to the pandemic. It's just that he did not take his state's citizens. He didn't put them in a freaking chokehold, right? Again, that's Washington Examiner. That's how they put it. He didn't put him in a chokehold. The DeSantis administration did indeed take action in some very important areas using the science to target who exactly needed the most protection, i.e. the elderly. And meanwhile, he simply encouraged everyone else, just take proper precautions. Be careful, to monitor your own individual risks. And unlike Cuomo, DeSantis emphatically did not mandate that COVID positive patients be admitted into nursing homes, right? So, we also have to note too, and again, I appreciate the Washington Examiner on this, DeSantis refused to shut down the state's biggest public spaces, its beaches, because he recognized it was one of the few places you can go where you naturally socially distance. You naturally find a place where you're away from other people and you're outside. So he said, no, we're not going to shut down our beaches. We're not going to shut down our schools. He made sure the schools were open in the fall of this school year, 2020, 2021, and they stayed open, something the science, again, has always said all along was safe. And once again, this is from Washington Examiner. I think it was so good. Endlessly frustrating for liberals in the media was DeSantis's reluctance to institute indefinite statewide mask orders and restrictions on businesses. It was supposedly anti-science to consider that governing a state or even a country through a pandemic might also mean weighing the costs of a severely restrictive policy designed to slow the spread of a virus that's harmless for the vast majority of people who contract it. When you force businesses to shut down, throwing untold numbers of people out of work and preventing many necessary activities such as health checkups, it hurts people in different but equal ways that a virus does. And I'm forgetting who it was who did it. It was an article. We talked about this, I thought, on a live stream last week sometime, where or 2 weeks ago, when the states finally decided to open up. And the rationale was simply this. When all said and done, the one of the major studies that came out found that there was no as we found here, there was no significant difference between states that have massive lockdowns and states that didn't when it came to infection rates and death rates. There was no significant difference. There was no major difference between infection rates if a state locked down or if a state did not lock down. But of course, there is a massive difference in unemployment, right? There's a massive difference in students being held back from school because they did so poorly on online education. There's a massive difference in all these other people not being able to go and get their checkups and so on and so forth. So you have two crises, not one. You've got the coronavirus crisis, and you have an unemployment crisis. You have an economic crisis. You have, in many respects, I don't think it's an exaggeration, you have an existential crisis of people being locked down. Now, if we find that if we got rid of that second crisis and just opened up the economy and allowed people to work and allowed kids to go back to school, if we found we got rid of one of those crises, the other crisis does not exacerbate in any noticeable way. What the hell are we doing in forcing two crises? What are we doing? And that's why you have more and more red states opening up here. And now it's being vindicated by the Marxist media. Now the Marxist media has to come out and say, you know what, you guys are right. And there's a reason why the Marxist media is coming out and saying that now is because there are more and more reports coming out that citizens are voting with their wallets. Citizens are voting with their residences. Fox News just had a report yesterday, just came out yesterday, that over the past year of this pandemic, nearly 1 million people picked up and relocated to one of the 5 freest states in the nation. They moved to either, you could probably guess them, right? What's the obvious state that most people moved to over the past year, right? Florida, followed by Texas. And then the others are interesting. The next is Tennessee, New Hampshire, and then ironically, Virginia. I say ironically because of all 5, 4 of the 5 are all solid red states, for the exception of Virginia, which suddenly turned blue over the last couple of years. But they're considered the freest 5 states in America, free according to the Fraser Institute's Annual Economic Freedom in North America Index. It's very interesting. So anyway, for the exception of Virginia, which are, they're all solid red states. Even New Hampshire has just become solid red with Republicans winning the governorship, state Senate, and state House in November. And then, interestingly, Donald Trump didn't win. Well, how interesting. By contrast, California loses a net 100,000 residents a year. That's been going on for the last 15 years, as I understand it. New York and New Jersey are losing residents. People are running away from these blue states. So, look, the media could play pretend for only so long, right? Eventually, they have to come back to reality, at least periodically. And with this report that nearly 1 million people have moved to Florida and Texas and Tennessee over the course of the last several years because they recognize there are two crises, not one. There is a pandemic crisis, but then there is an economic crisis. There's an existential crisis. And more these red states were saying we don't need two crises. We can limit it to one. And if we remove the other crisis, the lockdown crisis that were, then the first crisis, the coronavirus crisis, does not exacerbate in any noticeable way. There's virtually no difference between full-blown draconian lockdown states and open free states like Florida, virtually, and South Dakota for that matter as well. And so, look, there's no way around it. The media is going to have to report that periodically with so many people moving to these states. And they're having a massive success. Well done, Governor Ron DeSantis. I featured him in our first video today. I don't know if you checked it out. He's officially banned critical race theory from public schools in Florida. So this guy is batting 1,000. He is well on his way to a presidential nomination, no question. All right, so let's go over to, we're not done. I want to do one more. Let's go on over to the Russian Federation here. Before we do, remember, we've got our live online Q&A tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern time with the one and only Sebastian Gorka. So you're all invited to attend and ask him your questions. All you got to do is just click on the link below, sign up for Insiders Club. You're going to get your first week absolutely free so you can try it out, no obligation. I'll see you tonight, 7 p.m. so you can ask your questions to Sebastian Gorka. All right, so you probably heard that Biden he's officially insulted Russian President Vladimir Putin the other day. He called him a killer without a soul. It was an extremely irresponsible, provocative statement to make regarding a major world leader. Probably not a good idea to call the president of a republic that has more nuclear bombs than you have, a killer without a soul. That's probably not a good idea to get along with him. Russia did not take too kindly to it. They recalled their ambassador. Putin had a little fun trolling Biden when asked what his response was. He simply said, well, I wish... he smiled and said, I wish Biden good health. I wish Biden good health in the days ahead. I mean, this guy, Putin's a killer. Oh, really? I'm a killer? Well, may you have good health in the days ahead. But regardless, such comments show this was Putin. He developed it. And I think he's right on this. He said that comments like that show that our American elite are always trying to blame others for their own domestic problems and instabilities. I think he's right on that. I think Russia is a ruse to try to distract us from how pathetic things are here with our permanent political class. Regardless, one of his party leaders did not mince words. He's a fellow by the name of Andrei Turchak, is how you spell it, Turchak, Turchak. He's the leader of the main pro-Kremlin United Russia Party. Okay, that's Putin's party, the biggest party in Russia. He's the leader of the party, okay? He came out, all right, the leader of Russia's mainstream party, biggest party in the nation, came out and described Biden's remarks about Putin as reflecting the U.S. political marasmus, right? Our weakness. I had to actually look up marasmus, just like a weak child. The U.S. political marasmus, and it reflects Joe Biden's dementia. It reflects the U.S. political marasmus and the U.S. leader's dementia. When you put in a man who has dementia, he ends up talking this way. Gang, he went there. You have a major Russian party leader going there, calling out Biden's obvious dementia. It is stunning, to say the least. All right, we've got tons to talk about, but we're going to move this on over to our live Q&A platform tonight. Remember, it's at 7 p.m. We normally do these at 8. Tonight, it's at 7 p.m., and we're going to be chatting with the one and only Sebastian Gorka. You are invited to ask him your questions. All you got to do is click on that link below, join our Insiders Club. And for a limited time, you're going to get your first week absolutely free. So you can join us with no obligation, and you have access to people like Sebastian Gorka. So you're not going to have another opportunity like this. It's your backstage pass to get to interact with the movers and shakers of the worldwide conservative movement going on right now. So become an Insiders Club member by clicking on that link below. Get your first week absolutely free. And I'll see you tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time, and for our live Q&A with the one and only Sebastian Gorka. All right, guys. God bless.